someone else, not Ed Grimm, but someone else thinks that they bought that, presuming that they're gonna grow marijuana there. It ain't gonna happen.
We already put it.
Prohibition. Yeah.
Yep.
So we've been pursuing that, the ownership, we've been kind of tracking it because there's the easement that allows for conservation trail parking access at that property. Mr. Bennerup was supposed to, it was a voluntary easement that Mr. Bennerup offered the town. And we determined that it would be on whoever's the owner of the
Yeah.
property to try to transfer it. He was expected to develop the language to transfer that easement over to Mr. Grimm's property. Mr. Grimm even prepared a parking area and a trail to access the tool trails. And that those documents never were submitted by the property owners. So with each of the transfers of the house property, we've been pursuing, you gotta unlock the gate, you gotta let people in, it's an access, it is a legal access easement there.
Too bad. It looks like
Then
the
it
last person actually started to clean the place up a little.
Yeah,
I
Can I
believe
ask-
they did, there were two that actually cleaned up, but the most recent one was pursuing greenhouse use and et cetera, but I believe it was a bigger, I think that the rumor I heard was that it was, they bit off a little more than they were prepared.
we're still recording with people on.
The what?
There wasn't a retention pond in front of that flooded place, was there?
There'll be underground chambers there, so they've dug out for the underground.
They dug.
Yeah, well, they'll be putting in the underground retention system, and then, if I remember the plan correctly, they'll be covered, it'll be at grade. Well,
It looked
it
like.
still goes downhill.
Yeah, it's like they were thinking of building a retention pond.
It's basically, I mean, it's an underground, it'll be an underground one. So, I mean, they've gotta dig out the amount of space they need to put in the chambers and to create the storage that will then be underground. I suspect that those things that are wrapped in white are probably the chambers.
They probably.
There's
didn't
big
like me
stacks.
driving down their property.
What's that?
I just have a
Red truck
question
drive
about
down through the
Sunny
property.
Border and all that fill that he's brought in. Is it his intention to
Weird.
get rid of all that equipment, or is he gonna bury everything? Because he just keeps he's not bringing any more loads of, that's not clean fill. It has cement and everything in it, but I guess as long as it's not contaminated, it's considered clean. But, there's trees there's stumps there, and they're just they're stagnant right now. Nobody's
they're
doing anything,
stumps.
and he has,
So I actually talked to
Sunny
him
Board.
today because he said he couldn't make the meeting for the extension of filing the Mylar, and I talked to him and I said, I suspect some questions are gonna come up about what's going on. And so he confirmed what I understood was that he's working with DEP. They are doing regular and random testing. I was looking for my little sticky note that I wrote the notes on, and there it is.
What are they testing?
So they did find spots of contamination,
We knew that from
so-
the beginning.
and they're generally capping the contamination, so they'll be capping it and to meet the standards of DEP. And the results will then determine if they need to remove any of they have some recent testing that they're waiting to get back. And those results will determine if any of the soils will need to be removed or if they can continue.
Have you driven by there at all?
It's an active
What
site.
they've done is the capping. To me, they just moved dirt around. There's.
Well, they've brought in a lot.
Yeah, they have.
But there's
Yeah,
just
it's
mounds
part
of
of, it's really being monitored by DEP, and they're doing what's allowed by the
Well, so-
environmental standard.
So I have some clarification to offer on that because he was directed mistakenly to me at DEEP because of the pesticide issue. My expertise is not with remediation, and so I referred him to the remediation group. And I know that he had meetings with the remediation group, and he was trying to represent that I had involvement that I don't have. And so I made it very clear in any communications what my role is with respect to this application, and that I have no say or control over the remediation issue. But my understanding is that remediation is not considering this to be a formal application that they're working with. They just were discussing and guiding. So it's really very informal with them at this point.
So should we be referring to them? Now then?
I'm not really sure. Remediation has advised Weber that his proposed remediation was acceptable, but to say that DEP is monitoring it is not accurate.
Okay, because that's what I understood him to say. Deep random sample.
Yeah,
Is it
so
That's-
Deep, to my knowledge, Deep is not doing any sampling. He's got obligations to do sampling based on the findings, I think, of their initial sampling. Yeah, but yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, so he's been a little bit misleading in the way he's representing different roles.
I just find it funny that Diane asked him, are you gonna be doing the entire or just the hot spots? He goes, just the hot spots. It's everywhere, so that whole thing has to be a hot spot.
Well, so what I saw, and I don't know exactly where the hotspots are, but knowing the use of the property and like the different areas, I would think that there would be hotspots probably on the north end of the property, which was sort of like a mixing and loading area, a storage area for pesticides. The thing that I'm concerned with, that I don't think we ever were made aware of until he communicated with me about this remediation issue, is that there were pesticides found in the groundwater. And so there's statutory requirements that he's going to have to follow, which the remediation group pointed him towards the statutory requirements for that. So if the water contamination is close enough to the boundary, the concern that I would have would be contamination of water to the property to the north.
You put a well there.
How well?
That contamination.
I don't, I think there's city water on there. I think there's city
Oh.
water.
Elton Road would probably be the closest.
I have it online.
You have city water?
I do. I connected, but it doesn't go up, it doesn't go over the hill.
I would check that.
So I
Right,
can,
we'll look into it.
I can
We'll-
forward you the communication I have from remediation, which to my knowledge, because they copied me on what their recommendation or what their guidance was, so I can forward that to you.
We'll do it, some research while you'll be all over it, and then.
Yeah.
He'll find the statutes for me, and we'll work through it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
That
so
sounds like a nightmare.
notion to adjourn?
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
No.
I'll get this like mine, he made it first.
No, me too.
Okay, we have a motion. Those in favor? Aye. Just, Tim motioned, Brian seconded.
That works.
I had it backwards.
That works too,
The
Maureen.
time is 10:18.
10:18.
Have a good night.
Night, Steve.
Good night, Steve. Thanks for joining us.
We got done early.